Brambro back with some Grand Tactician Civil War, our CSA campaign in the 1.06 beta. Okay, so Albert Sidney Johnston is fighting yet again. He's been fighting battles all up and down northern Kentucky and southern Indiana and southern Ohio for quite a while now, trying to establish and then maintain some control over the Ohio River. And this is the latest iteration in that ongoing saga. So we have just now, at the end of the last episode, captured Cincinnati, Ohio, which frankly I hadn't really wanted to do for kind of big picture campaign purposes, but there really is no controlling the upper Ohio without controlling Cincinnati. So that's what we have done. Well, Joseph Mansfield didn't like that. So he has brought his army of the Ohio down here to Lawrenceburg, Ohio, or that might be Indiana. Lawrenceburg, Indiana, I guess. To register his displeasure. And we are obliged to reply, and that is what is happening now. So I'm going to hop into the battle, take a look at the map, the objectives, and all that sort of thing, maybe do some deployment, and I will be back. Okay, I've just popped into the map, and there's a pretty unusual situation here. I'm not sure I've ever seen this before. It's a meeting situation. The objective is here. Currently, it is Confederate owned. However, in this deployment zone down here, this is where the game spawned Johnston, the Army commander. The core is up here, Long Pass Ridge, entry point. Okay, now that in itself is not that unusual. The game pops the Army commander separately at a different spot than his subordinate forces all the time. What's unusual here is not only is Johnston down here, so is Hardee. So here's the Corps commander down here with Johnston. All of his troops are up here, and they cannot go into the same deployment zone because they're not contiguous. And I cannot put Hardee up here. That I have never seen before. But it is what it is. Basically, all it means is that I'm just going to have to put Hardee and Johnston right here, and as soon as time rolls, they're going to have to ride up this road and rejoin their forces. And I'll just deploy these guys along this road here, and then they will march on down to the objective. So it'll all come out okay in the end. Meanwhile, I've talked before about these flat spots. Here's where the deployment zones are butting up against each other. The Union has entry points here, here, here. Right? So Mansfield is somewhere in this area. So by the time that the armies actually make contact, which will be a while, by then this will almost undoubtedly be a Union-controlled objective, and we will be in more or less an attacking situation. Anyway, and normally I don't even know if I would have cut back in to show that. But this thing here, where the Corps commander is actually separated from his forces in a different deployment zone, never seen that happen before. So that was unusual, and I thought it was worth showing. Okay. I will be back, and by the time I do, when we cut back in, things will look a little bit more normal. Okay, just a quick look now, because the federal position has been spotted. Not what I expected. The Army still hasn't really begun to move, order delays. There's one brigade that's kind of started. But sent the cavalry down to scout out. The objective remains Confederate. The Federals have set up over here with breastworks at the O'Connell place. Quite a ways from the objective, and not at all what I expected. So the fight will not be occurring near the objective. It would so appear. I'm kind of thinking maybe bring the army around this way and fight along here. Or, even though it's forested, could probably come up, form along this road, and then slowly, going slowly to kind of make sure we don't get in a cohesion fatigue issue, just kind of slowly advance through these woods and come at them through here. Which, yeah, I don't like the cohesion fatigue bit. However, we will have cover in there. Forest gives 20%, so there's pluses and minuses to that. And while it does slow things down and the cohesion and fatigue, forest isn't as bad at that as creeks and swamps. So I'm kind of leaning in that direction, but we'll see how it pans out. Anyway, just wanted to cut in and show kind of what their federal position was at a somewhat surprising location. Now, looking at their deployment, now it's a meeting engagement, which means maybe the AI isn't necessarily focused on going and taking an objective. And, the AI, I would assume, even if they do have fog of war, would still know that this is a deployment zone down here for the Confederacy, and they don't know what's in there, and they know this is an entry point. And so, given that maybe they expect an attack from this direction, that is not a bad defensive position, right? Kind of set back from the creek a little bit, breastworks, well anchored on both sides, forest and yeah, that's not a bad position. It's just not kind of what we expected as far as the objective. But, if they were expecting an attack this way, that's not bad. All right, lots more marching to do. I will be back. Okay, it is the morning of day 2. It's already 8 o'clock in the morning because it's winter. So the fighting day only goes from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, due to it being December. And had moved the army far enough that we have a nice deployment line here along the top of Big Creek Ridge, which is where I intended these divisions to go. Some of these federal divisions have already turned around to face this way, so I think they do have vision on us. I looked in the HQ report, and there are a total of 5 federal brigades, 3 infantry and 2 cavalry, divided into 2 divisions. So I think this is one division here, right on the breastworks, and I don't think we've actually spotted either of the units in the other division, but they got to be right around here somewhere. Okay. I moved the cavalry over and captured a couple of the federal entry points, and I've got the Arkansas Mounted Rifles deployed at a spot where they can zip over here and get the last one. That doesn't matter for reinforcements, because there are none, and I don't think it matters for supply either, because I do not expect this battle to go into a second overnight phase. However, toward the end of the battle, that may kind of mess up their retreat pathing. I'm kind of hoping it does. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but anyway, I'm going to do it and see what happens. Deployed and even though it's, quote, daylight, unquote, still pretty dark at 8 o'clock in the morning, but a lot of these brigades along in here have got low cohesion following deployment. And that happens a lot when you go and move units during the overnight deployment phase, and it kind of makes sense because it kind of simulates having marched a good distance in the night. But so our units need to sit here and kind of recover cohesion for a little bit as we get time rolling. And then we're going to have to keep an eye on that because they're going to be advancing through this wood toward the federal position. Obviously, nowhere in here looked very good for artillery, so I've got Polk's Artillery Division over here where they will be delivering flanking fire at some point. I think they're not quite close enough now. That's why they're still limbered. We'll probably move them up to, oh, somewhere about in here near this road. Once the Arkansas Cavalry or mounted rifles take this spot, they'll come back along this track and kind of set up over in here someplace. And that's more or less to block this retreat route over this ford in this direction. And then the other cavalry division is over here. Okay, let's get time rolling. Now, I did notice while I was moving troops that there was a weird kind of side-to-side shift, which I also noticed in VTH's most recent episode in his campaign. So there may be some kind of weird little bug going on in 1.06 right now with units shifting on the map, kind of sideways. Let's see how our cohesion's doing. Yeah, let's let these guys fragmented, broken. These guys need to sit and recover for a little while after their night march. I think we can probably move the artillery up though. They're not too bad. Move them up to about, well, they have now marched their way out of vision. They decided to go this way. Move Trimble up just to keep an eye on them. Let's put scouts out. You can kind of see there's some weird side-to-side shifting going on with these federal units too. I hope that doesn't cause a huge problem with the campaign. Okay, with the battle rather. Okay, they've lost their cohesion icons, but they're still disrupted. They're coming up. It won't take too long. Some of them are okay. What are these guys doing? They're just bugging out entirely? I don't know what's going on here. Okay, some of these brigades are getting, yeah, they're coming up pretty nice. Let's go ahead and push them up a little. Or are they responding to the entry points going Confederate? And they're headed back to... That's some wacky stuff there. I hope that stops happening when units actually get engaged. I think we can move Polk's artillery up just a little bit more. Currently we're at a minor defeat because the Union morale is significantly higher than ours. And I think that's primarily because we're fighting in either Ohio or Indiana. I'm not sure exactly which. But we're fighting on Union territory. Oh, no. I can't see Jack from there. Alright. Limber back up. Oops. Something's not right here. I don't know what else to say about it. The artillery's all finding targets there, popping this battalion. That's good. Alright. It's working out alright. It looks like maybe it's the icons that are doing this weird little shift thing. The actual units. No, they're being affected too. These guys are doing this little dance. See, this guy is just kind of whoop 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 shifted out of the way. That's not AI cheating. There's some kind of bug going on here. Okay, I think these brigades can pull their skirms in the middle. Let's make sure that they are at long range. I don't think all these forces are trying to move this way. I think the game is just kind of shifting them that way. Party up a little bit. And Johnson. brigade's broken. The skirmishers need to come in. The skirmishers need to come in. Oh, Anderson broke. Let's get Frost up on the fence. Enemy retreating. That Frost charge. It's not giving me the option to. Turn that gunfire down a little bit. I think that was a little loud. Well, I mean, I meant for Pierce's brigades to take more of the brunt, but it didn't work out that way. I've taken 500 casualties. Mansfield has taken 3,300, 25% of his force. Huger is a little toasty there. Let's not get him to... Let's go ahead and mount up the Arkansas mounted rifles. Why are they not mounting up? Huh. Well, maybe if I just move them a little bit. Okay, they're responding to that. Okay, so now let's try to give them the mount order again. There they go. See if we can get this brigade to charge. Nope. think they're about to be in melee with those guys anyway. I'm not getting the charge icon on the mouse pointer. They're meleeing anyway. I'm gonna get a few prisoners that way, just out of... Okay, we got 4 minutes left. Huh. A strange battle. I think there were some kind of glitchy things going on there. But that went pretty well. 500 casualties, 3,200 it says here for Mansfield. Major victory. Johnson's army is getting a little ground down, though. I need to do something about that. Let's have a look and see if we got many prisoners there. I'm in the wrong army. Nope. I don't think we took any prisoners at all. That can't be right, can it? Okay. Well, there we have it. The Battle of the Ohio River. Patton Anderson may have gotten defamed there. Well, I'm not seeing a defamation message, so maybe not. Well, they don't always get defamed on a route. And even if he does, I've kind of found it's really not that big a deal. Okay, we captured 1,600 more small arms. Hopefully they were rifles. Okay, so now we know there's still, well, I'm not seeing that supply depot anymore, which is not a vision thing. Typically you can see them pretty much anywhere on the map, which could mean that this army has moved and might be moving toward us. And Hardy's Corps is now down into orange readiness. And even though this area of Ohio around Cincinnati, even though this is Confederate now, it is a Union state. So I'm not 100% sure with orange readiness if he can do anything offensive. It may not even let me move him back into Cincinnati. The good news is, this is a Confederate hospital now. And that's got to help. Oh, okay, there's a supply depot. He's still there, still building it. But with orange readiness, what I'd like to do is... So this sliver of Union-controlled territory now isn't because of a city. It is because there is a Union army here temporarily still exerting control over these IIPs in this area. I'd kind of like to come over here and pop him, make him retreat too. However, with orange readiness, I don't know if he can do that. And B, the Hardy score is kind of getting to a point where, I don't know. I kind of need him to have it quiet for a while now. I have all but abandoned my idea of trying to retake Grafton before the spring. Gotta be said. Things are looking better over here. I'm not seeing attrition. Yeah, okay, so Garnet's back up to 100%. He just needed to kind of sit quiet for a little bit and stop burning. When they're stationary, they use less supply than when they're moving, right? And he had been moving. We moved him over here to catch sight of what was over at Grafton and then moved him back. Once he stopped moving, he stopped burning supplies as much. So he's back up to 100% flow and rebuilding his stocks. So I may not have needed to build this supply depot. But the money's spent. So just based on owned cities, we've got kind of this salient here, and that's because of an army here. And this little salient here is because of Union ownership of Grafton, but but that happened because there's a Union army here too. So, and it might just kind of have to stay that way for a few months. Johnson's army has been doing well, but they need some R&R. And Hill's Corps. See, he's only come this far from Knoxville. He's just about over the mountains. But he's at 1,000 disabled from attrition. And all of that is sick. No combat. No desertions either, so that's good. So it's still going to be a little while before Hill's Corps can kind of take up some of the load here in Kentucky. But even when they do, they don't have any weapons. I mean, they do, but they've got the default, not default, they've got all Springfield muskets, and they do have the default artillery and cav weapons. Not much I can do about that at the moment. In a couple months I will be able to, but not right now. Okay, and it was also a little troubling to see that weird shifting around during the battle. It wasn't happening to my units in the recorded phase, but it was pretty clear what was happening to the Union units, and that was not AI, that was something else. And during the maneuvering phase, off camera, that was happening a little bit to my units as well. So, I don't know what to say about that. In any case, that's where we're at now in the campaign, and that will do for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like what we're doing on the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even a subscribe. But at any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.